superhero. Yeah, this is also like very inspired by what we saw before. Okay, another big influence is Charles Barnes. I really enjoy from him his darkness and the elegance of his work, and all the geometry in the black and white 50s vibe that he has. And sometimes I pick up something like very synthetic. For example, the hair of the girl, like it has like this shadowing that goes, it's just like lines that go from white to thin. And this makes like a gradient visually, but it's only black and white. And I really wanted to use that into letters, because it can get a lot of dimension, but you're not using gradients, you're just using reduction of white space, and your eye is making like a gray into it. So this is an example of lettering I did back in the days, like some years ago. And basically when I do lettering, I sketch a little bit by hand, but I jump to the computer very fast. And I wanted to work on this wordplay, saying old is cool, like old school. And basically close the eyes of the letters as much as I could. So I wanted to play with these white lines that we saw from Charles Barnes. You see what happened here though, because I wanted to do a lettering that it looked like old school and kind of an American kind of way, but the proportions here, because I work with a computer, with a mouse, the proportions were really stiff and rigid. There wasn't a flow at all. So I didn't know what to do, because I don't know how to draw like directly from paper. So I thought, okay, let's geometrize everything. So this was crossing like a technique that I learned before, like the modular type, and let's geometrize this whole thing into rectangles and circles. And from here, let's put everything in a grid that it's an isometric grid. So at the end, the whole composition, it got more stable and more sustained in the page. And this was funny, because it wasn't really my intention. I wanted to do something like that feel like very 50s. It becomes something different. And this is something nice. I think it's very cool when there's like an error and you are able to see it and use it, because it's full of surprises, the process, and it's nice when something happens. On the same kind of technique, there's also projects like this for Nixon. This is for PVC, which is a spiral of the different sports. That they do. PVC sport, and then design influences. For example, of course, Milton Glaser is also one of the few ones that I think it really gathers everything that I like from a designer, because he's not really afraid of trying things. He can be an illustrator and a designer at the same time. He can do like very awesome concepts.